What's going on, everybody? Kyle Powers here, Haven Real Estate Group at eXp Realty. K-State grad, turned contractor, turned real estate agent and investor. Today, I have a very special guest here with me for another episode of Local Legends of the Flint Hills, where business meets community. I've got Laura Prey here with Prey Family Agency, an exclusive Allstate agent. So Laura, again, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Tell us, let's just dive right into it. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about your family, tell me where you're from, that kind of stuff, and give me a little background here.
Oh gosh. I will just tell you. Okay, it was a balmy day in February in the 80s, which Kyle never lets me forget that I'm older than him. So I am an exclusive Allstate agent. Even though I do not look that age, I have actually been in the insurance industry for about 20 years. Oh, next year. Okay, now I'm starting to feel really old. It's actually a legacy business, so it's the type of thing that I got into by falling into it. Like many of us who graduate college and have no idea what they're necessarily going to do. I'm sure Kyle's never had that in his whole life. I was helping my father out before I even graduated college. And I started helping him in his agency. And then I happened to know and realize that I was actually pretty good at it. So I kind of fell into it a little bit, but then I also fell in love with it a little bit. And it was always my plan. My family, we come from a long line of entrepreneurs. Why can I not say that word? But we come from a very long line of entrepreneurs. Every single person in my family, my immediate family, we all own our own business. My extended family, same thing. So it kind of just became the thing we were going to do, and I knew I'd always do it. But you have to work for it. So I actually worked for another agent previously with Allstate, and we started out with one agency. We built ourselves up to 4 agencies, which is kind of how I ended up in Manhattan. I was up here to train people and to restaff them from Topeka. And I did that for about a year, and then love came along, and I met my husband, which I insured him, so hopefully that wasn't a conflict of interest, but I ended up insuring him, and the rest was kind of history where it made sense for me to come up here and take over these agencies. And then in 2020, I ended up buying out my boss one of these locations, which is how I ended up here on beautiful Points Avenue. There you go.
Perfect. So again, I know a little bit of your history, obviously, and I know that you're from New York. So how did you end up coming from the New York side of it into here and ending up in Kansas on that side of it?
I am blessed that you think I am from New York. Well, I'm actually not from New York. My father is from Brooklyn in Long Island. He born and raised there. He came here for the military back in the 60s.
That story.
Yes.
One of those.
So he came back in the 60s to Old Forbes Field, and he met my mother, and they ended up moving back to New York. So I'm actually the only person in my family, I have a brother and a sister as well, who were not raised in New York. And then my dad, who was a Guido, a Long Island Guido, they came back to visit in the late mid-70s. They came back to visit, and on their ride back to New York, my dad said, "We're going to move home. We're going to pack all of our stuff, and we're going to move to Kansas, and I'm going to become a farmer." And he did until the farming crisis in the 80s, and then that's how he kind of got into insurance. And he started out under the escalator at Sears.
Oh, wow.
Which is how Allstate Insurance started. So when I was a kid, we used to shop at Sears exclusively because we got a discount, which totally makes sense, right? You got a discount for working at Sears. And so that's kind of their backstory. And he was an agent with Allstate for about 34 years, and then he retired from that, went independent, which is now what him and my brother do.
Nice.
Well, now he's retired, He's actually in Argentina right now. He spent the entire flight with a bunch of Swifties because Taylor Swift is having a concert the entire time he's in Argentina, so he's there with a bunch of Swifties. But I have a husband named Dan. He is actually an elementary school principal. So go Cobras, even though nobody knows where his school is because it's tiny. Jackson Heights. Okay. All right. And then I have a daughter who is named Ramsey, and she is 8 years old, and she is in the 2nd grade at Wamego Central.
Very nice. Very nice. So that's a little bit of our backstory. So tell me a little bit then about what you do here with Allstate and kind of dive deep into a little bit of that. Like, what kind of policies you write, give us a broad and as detailed as you want as far as what you can do here.
Okay.
And tell me a little bit about your business here.
So Allstate does pretty much everything. What a lot of people don't know that Allstate does, we do the traditional things. So we're going to cover autos, we're going to cover homes. Basically, we want to protect any part of you, which includes you as well. So we do life insurance. A lot of people do not realize that we do life insurance. We also do investment investment policies. That's not even the word I'm thinking. Anyway, we do investments as well, financial services. So we can do IRAs and we can do education savings accounts. We can do a little bit of everything. That's probably the thing that people don't know that we do. So we try to mention it, but it's the type of thing. Our bread and butter is autos and homes, and we cover college kids for the rental properties they're in, and we cover rental properties for people who are investors who have investment properties. Nudge, nudge. We do cover Airbnbs, but gosh, they don't love them. I wonder why.
No one does.
No one does. So we pretty much cover everything. I would say we're very competitive. Like, we're kind of in the middle with everything else. I think a lot of companies, we all kind of ebb and flow on what it is we are interested in. Our demographic of what our company wants changes just like everybody else's companies change. So right now we don't love young drivers, but name a company who does love young drivers.
But a parent who loves young drivers.
Yeah, exactly. People do not love paying for young drivers, but we're very competitive in our home product. We have a really good home product. And we're kind of, the biggest thing I would say that I enjoy to do in my agency is that I really just want to educate people. You kind of have a love of educating people when it comes to real estate. I have a love of educating people when it comes to insurance. I think a lot of people, the misnomer is that we cover every single little thing you can possibly think of. So we are a little bit of a disappointment when people have things like their car breaks down and they go, "Well, aren't you going to pay for that?" And I'm like, well, that's not how insurance works, So if I can give people a little bit more knowledge when they leave here with a policy, then I feel like we're a step ahead. Like, they've got a little bit of knowledge. I've insured people who are in their 70s and not know what a deductible was. And not because they haven't used insurance.
Good and bad, I guess.
Yeah. It's just one of those that they haven't ever really taken the time to be educated on stuff. So if I can give them a little bit of education, and I would say that's probably one of the biggest compliments we get, besides referrals, obviously, is when people say, "I didn't know about that, and you explained it to me, and you didn't make me feel silly for not knowing it," basically. So that's what I enjoy most in my business, is just taking the time to educate people, spending time with them, getting to know them a little bit.
I know we do a lot of lunches together. That's what it is.
Yeah.
She obviously enjoys that too.
Yes, I do.
Okay, perfect. So that's what you enjoy, the piece of it. Give me a little bit about, I don't know if you have this or not, and maybe you do, maybe you don't, but give me a little bit of like what policies you like to write maybe, or what, does that make sense? Like a little bit of background, like I really like writing commercial insurance, or
I don't like that.
UTVs, or what,
Yeah.
right? Give me something like, what type of stuff do you like? I know you do a very broad range of what you can do and what you do, but we all like, I mean, I can do just about anything when it comes to real estate, but I enjoy a certain aspect of it. So
Right.
that's what I want to know, what that is for you.
Okay. I would say, yes, I love writing toys. Toys are very inexpensive policies. When I mean toys, I mean the ATVs, the UTVs, which a lot of people, the Kansas version of that is a side-by-side.
Sure.
The John Deeres, the Polaris, all of those. Golf carts, all of those things. A lot of people don't really think about insuring them because they just say, "Oh, it's covered under my homeowners." Well, it can be to a certain degree, but if you happen to take it off of your home and out of the garage and out onto the land or onto a road somewhere, it opens up a lot of liability. And since my entire job is making sure that people are protected for liability, that's the type of thing that I want to make sure they have covered. They're ridiculously, boat policies, very inexpensive policies. UTVs and things like that. I mean, when I say we literally beat everybody when it comes to that by hundreds of dollars generally. So Allstate loves toys. They love them. We come in very good when it comes to the cost, and pretty much we don't miss out on that. So those are probably my favorite just because they're fun stuff. People aren't like, "I have this ATV I want to insure." They're like, "Oh, what about my ATV?" And it's just an easygoing conversation. It's not complicated, I guess I would say.
Perfect. So that's awesome. So that's what I always like to hear, a little bit about what you kind of, the piece that you enjoy about it. Obviously, again, I know you can do just about everything that there is that you want to do. So, and guys, I'll tell you this too. I've worked with Laura quite a bit on with clients and things along that way. She does a very good job of taking care of her clients, making sure that you are well covered and making sure that you are doing that. So I will say that she does an excellent job of that. So again, appreciate all of your care into that side. Tell us a little bit, what is the process? Just a quick overview of the process. Like when they get a hold of you, they first meet you on that side of it, what is the process of they reach out to you on whatever aspect it is, and then they come in, they meet, so on and so forth, right? Like, give me the whole process from first meeting to insured and what that looks like.
Sure. I think a lot of people think the process is more daunting than it is. I think that's why a lot of people are hesitant to talk about switching insurance, because it's the type of thing that's like, then I have to do this and I have to provide that. It's kind of like anything else. You would be surprised at how much stuff I already have. If you, correct, I'm not saying it's not scary, but you would be shocked at how much I have. So if you've lived at the same address for a period of time, I really need very little information to at least get started on a quote. So I'm going to ask for names and birth dates and who all is in your household that needs to be covered. I'm going to ask for an address. Big thing on homes is I'm going to ask for your roof age. You can make your best guess. One thing that I don't ask for is I don't ask for things about your home. So fun fact, nobody knows unless they built their own house how many square feet their house is. People can tell you details about their house, but they cannot tell you square footage. They cannot tell you exact percentages of certain things like flooring and things like that. They can give you their best guess. And I'm not expecting them to know all of that. So what I do is I go to all of the different counties, and all of the counties have that information available to me, so I can go there and look it up myself. So really, you don't have to give me all that. I can get that via an address, and then I come back to you and go, this is what the county said. Does this sound correct? And I can make adjustments from there. So really, that's most of the stuff. I need to know year, make, and model of vehicles. I need to know your home address. And other than that, I can kind of do my best at like filling in the gaps. And then after I work up the quotes and I go through all of that, do whatever the quotes are, if I think that you have a need for something else, like for example, you tell me your home is paid off, I'm going to say, you probably need an umbrella policy, which is an extra $1 million of liability. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work that up, and then later I'm going to go over with you and say, here's why I think you should have this. I don't do that for everybody. You kind of have to fit into a certain category, which after having a conversation with you, I may say, yeah, there's somebody who I think needs it, and somebody is not going to need it at all. Kyle needs an umbrella policy. If I find out after this conversation he doesn't have it, I will tell him, go get one. So once I work up the quotes, I'll call you. I want to go through it with you. The number one thing I don't want you to do is take it and go, I pay 5 cents now and you're 6 cents, and so therefore I'm not going to purchase it. You really have to compare it against what you have. I'm not always going to say, here's the exact coverages you have now, and I'm going to insure it exactly the same way. It's more of a conversation to go, they might need more than what they have now. They might have, I generally don't think people need less than what they have now, but a lot of times people have way less coverage than what they need. So that's just an open dialogue about what their situation is and all of that. So I'm not always going to just do apples to apples, because that's not generally what everybody needs.
Sure.
So it's not always about the price. Some of it's about the coverage as well. So a big part of it is about the coverage and protecting you the way that you need. From there, when I go over the quote with somebody, I'm going to go over it with them and I'm going to explain what the different coverages are. 9 times out of 10, nobody knows what liability actually does. They understand that it pays for things if they hit something, but they don't actually know how it works. So I generally go through that. They're always a little shocked. They're like, what? I didn't know that covered it the way it did. So that's always kind of fun. From there, if it's something that they enjoy and they think that that's going to work out for them and they go, yep, it's saving, or it's a lot better coverage, etc., I have to get some different things. Things that you don't have to give me is your social security number. I never, ever, 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 ever have to ask you for that. People get real worried that I'm going to ask them about it. And I say, nope, like your driver's license number will suffice at telling me if you've got tickets, if you've got accidents, and it kind of finds you in the system. So that's not a problem. So from there, it's mostly I need VIN numbers. I need, sometimes minor documentation if there's something. And then once I complete the policies, I deal with payments, I actually will break up with the customer for them. So earlier today, I had a conversation with somebody and I said, would you like me to send you a document that when you sign it, I will send it to your current agent and then you don't have to deal with them? The amount of people who love that service, they love it because they get real nervous having to talk to somebody and give them bad news. And I give people bad news all the time, so it's not a problem.
No one likes a breakup.
Correct. So, but I will break up with them. From there, once we finish the policies, I can do everything over the phone. People can come in and meet me. I love that. But if they say, hey, can we do it over the phone? We can easily do it over the phone. Shockingly, in this age, you wouldn't think that this is a thing. In business, but people love to text. So we have an actual texting app that's all desktop. It's on our desktop. It's not on our phone. The whole office can see it. So it's not just me getting the text. It's not my private cell phone, but we communicate a ton with people and we try to text stop everybody in. The benefit of us doing that is that if they need an ID card, they can go, hey, can you send me an ID card? And we can send it. It's very easy. If they go, hey, I bought a new car. So we can do a lot of changes and customer service via text, which people seem to love. Sure. So I've actually sold a lot of policies over text, which sounds crazy, but it's not that weird. So from there, what I do is we onboard them. So once we finish the policies, we send everything to them to electronically sign, and then we make sure they're kind of doing all their stuff. We're making sure they get things signed. We're making sure they're setting up their paperless options. We're making sure they're signing up for any of the benefits or things. And pretty much, or we break up with their people for them. And it kind of goes from there. So it's a pretty easy. We try to make it very seamless, and it's generally not nearly as difficult as what people think it is. Yeah. It's not as daunting as what people think it is.
No, that's perfect. And I will say, as detailed as she went with that, it is a very seamless, very quick process for that side of it too. So perfect. So that's perfect. So give us then, let's say that somebody watching this or anybody that ever gets a hold of this says, okay, cool, I want to reach out to Laura and her agency and all that stuff. How do we get a hold of you? Social media, phone numbers, emails. What's the best process, the best way to have them get a hold of you on that side of it?
So the number one thing you don't do is you do not call 1-800-ALL-STATE and say, send me to Laura, because that means nothing. They're just going to say, how can I help you? So you can email me, which is my email is just my name. So it's Laura Pray, like you pray to God. So laurapray@allstate.com. You can call us on our direct line, which rings directly to us. Would you like me to give that number?
If you want, go for it.
785-370-7454. You can go to our Facebook. It's basically, I think it's Pray Family Agency, Allstate Insurance. You will see that with all my social media stuff. You can easily message us on there. It's not difficult at all. And you can always go to the Allstate website and you can say find an agent and put my name in. It'll pop up and you can email me directly, and I get gobs of communication through there. So tons of traffic through that. So that's an easy way to find us, is just find an agent.
Perfect. Thank you. So there you go. There you heard it. That's how you get a hold of her. So Laura, again, thank you so much for getting on here today with me. I really do appreciate it. So obviously, if you guys do want to reach out to Laura, please, the phone number, email, she just gave all that stuff to you. So please reach out to her. She does an excellent job, takes good care of her clientele. So again, thank you very much for joining me today. I appreciate it. If you guys do enjoy this content, and if you haven't done so already, please go and hit that subscribe button. Go and hit that little bell so you get notified of any future content, and give us that like, because it does help us grow the channel. And please, 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 if you know somebody who wants or needs Laura's services, please send this video to them. They get to know her a little bit better, understand what she does, what that process looks like, and anything along those lines. So again, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Tune in next week, because we've got another great guest for us coming for you guys, the local legends of the Flint Hills, where business meets community. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.